Teachers of Reddit, what's the worst thing you have confiscated from a student? A raccoon penis toothpick a male student kept poking a female student with. He had backups. I was the student. My parents had a WW2-era tank shell probably made inert that my grandfather probably picked up as a memento of constructing military bases somewhere. We mostly used it as a doorstop. My parents let me bring it to elementary school for show and tell. Then there was the incident and the cops didn't give it back to us. A huge butcher knife that he was actively trying to stab me with. He was 6. Not a teacher, but when in high school, they had to shut down an entire bathroom because a girl had a business of piercings, tattoos, weed, meth, coke, acid, and molly in the bathroom. Chick literally had the whole Claire's piercing gun and a whole ass tattoo gun. And of course the drugs. Let's just say she was expelled. An entire police-grade taser. I used to be a monitor for kids from rough neighborhoods. We would take them out to the mountains or countryside and have them sleep overnight and do activities, like scouts. During the day I would take mostly cigarettes, but during the pre-bedtime inspection we always confiscated shanks, metal poles, and upgraded 2x4 bats. Once the other dorm confiscated a gun from a kid that flashed it at my group. Legitimate brass knuckles. He was knocking them against his desk and saying threatening things to my other students. Brass knuckles are illegal in general where I live, not just forbidden in school, so both he and his parents were in some trouble. Someone I know brought in whiskey with blue food coloring in it. A kid was setting fires in the bathroom. A few of the kids told me and I had to confiscate the lighter. Believe it or not, he was not expelled. A vibrator. A second grader was using the tickle toy on other children on the bus. A tightly taped and wrapped brick that had "not drugs" written in Sharpie. He was throwing it around the classroom like a football. When I confiscated it and saw what was written on it, I called the resource officer. It was drugs. Plastic tubes used for freebasing. I work in the discipline office at a high school. Weed, knives, and brass knuckles are common. But the freebasing supplies really threw me. Not the worst, but the most interesting thing I confiscated was a taser crafted from a BIC pen, some wires, and a staple. It conducted short bursts of electricity when you clicked the pen. I was more impressed than anything. I didn't confiscate it, necessarily, but someone left a condom blown up like a balloon on a chair in my room during the last period of the day with "Be safe" written in black Sharpie. Reading these comments is a bit of a trip. When I was in elementary school, most of the boys carried a small pocket knife pretty much everywhere. A bag of D batteries to beat someone with. Not the worst but possibly the best. A student with cognitive delay didn't want their cat to be lonely, so they put the cat in their backpack and brought it to school. This child rode a van with an aide and somehow no one knew until she set this cat free in the middle of my classroom. Made the day much more exciting. How about a dead deer in a clear trash bag? Not a teacher, and I don't even know if this is considered confiscation, but I need to tell someone. My last day of high school there was the standard locker clear out with those huge grey trash carts wheelbarrows. I had early leave last period of the day. After everyone went to class, I was walking through a mostly empty hall and noticed one of the trash carts parked up by a locker with 2 staff members looking inside. And there it was, a deer carcass in a trash bag hanging from the coat hook inside the locker. So fucking bizarre. Breath mint that said after pussy mint. From a year 7. Kindergarten boy. A heroin-filled syringe. Said it was his mom's medicine after I saw it fall out of his hoodie pocket. A student brought in a laser pointer and low-level taser combination pen. Best part was I got shocked twice by the taser. I was covering for middle school art. I heard a girl in the class scream and went over to check what's up. The student had a photo he was reluctant to show me, but I had to press because the girl was clearly shook up. The student had a photo of his art teacher's phone, and the image on the phone was of their art teacher sucking giving head. It didn't help the teacher was gay and we were in the Middle East. The whole situation sucked. I used to teach grade 2 in a rough neighborhood, and one day one of the little girls in my class smelled terribly of booze. I confiscated a 1.5L thermos of rum coke that she had mistakenly brought to school. It was her mom's thermos for work. Little girl had grabbed the wrong thermos. Poor kid. When I was in high school, a kid in my class brought a lighter and a lit a test on fire. He was suspended. Not a teacher, but one of my teacher had to confiscate Mike and Sully toilet paper, a Pokemon card that said your mom with Snorlax as the picture, a bowling ball they called the toddler destroyer, a jar of mayo, a raw onion, a coconut that a dude named Cheryl, a printed piece of paper of the teacher taped to a watermelon, spray paint, a giant piece of rock the size of the kid himself, about 200 Burger King crowns together in one day, and last but not least a bicycle tire. This was all in the span of one school year in the same class. I'm a daycare teacher and we keep a good supply of safety scissors in the older kids' classrooms, and one day I caught a 4-year-old trying to slice at his tongue with them because I had moved him after he threw a train at another kid. Not a teacher but worked in an elementary school. Jack Daniels. From a 2nd grade student. 8-inch hunting knife. I had 2 troublemaker girls in a class that I was constantly trying to get help with. First-year teacher. The principal came in to observe and I was giving a ceramics demo in the middle of the room. The 2 girls decide to throw condoms back and forth. Principal took them. I never saw them in class again. Fairy porn. Confiscated one of those lighters that looks like a .50 cal shell. Next day I confiscated a fake frag grenade from the same kid after he shouted frag out and rolled it down the aisle. I don't know if lighters are forbidden where I'm from, but a guy from the other class did get his taken away for using it and a deodorant to make a flamethrower. Edibles. The student was in 1st grade and had eaten some at recess. Box cutter. She brought it to teach someone a lesson. 5th grade. I watched a teacher take a student's phone only to be savagely beaten down by the student to the point she was taken to the ER and was forced into early retirement. Does that count? A kid went to school with, I kid you not, a metal crowbar in his backpack. Once in my country LMAO he was being bullied so he brought it. For pretty fucking insane though IMO LOL. My own voodoo doll made by a student. With pins it in and all. Recently retired principal. When I was cleaning out my desk, I had a nice assortment of kitchen knives, regularly knives, 1 vape pen, box cutters, brass knuckles, and lighters. Elementary. A friend told me that once, on one of her first teaching practices, she had to confiscate a phone with not safe for work images. The strange thing about that case is that the photos were of the child's parents doing things that parents do when they are alone. Apparently, the boy saw them on the spot, and took pictures of them to show his classmates. Also witnessed a girl give another girl an ear piercing in the middle of a 10th grade math class while I was substituting. The gun was sanitized with Germ-X. A double-sided dildo. Fuzzy sex handcuffs. Student M was walking around the school creeping out female students. I had to confiscate a bottle of Sriracha and a bag of Lay's barbecue from my 3rd grader. His dad let him pack his own lunch without checking. I made him get school lunch, which was free at the time. Faced with tears